AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt. Hey, bud. Paul O'Neill. Luke Foster.
Luke, I am your father.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Ross Jackson in 1 hour from right now. We'll get a Saints camp report. I do want to talk a little LSU in about 15 minutes. Something, honestly, I'd intended to do yesterday, but a lot popped up and we didn't get to it, was the comments Lane Kiffin made on the young defensive tackles. Deuce Gerald's, Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, how they might rotate into this season. I got some thoughts on that. We'll get to it here in about a dozen minutes from right now. Kellen Moore met with reporters here on Wednesday after practice, and he did talk a lot about the joint workouts coming up with the Jags. I'll get to that in a second. First, though, Kellen Moore was asked about the Terron Arnold visit. Now, if you're not familiar, Terron Arnold was a star at Alabama, first-round pick of the Lions, 24th overall, played his full rookie season in 2024. Last year, played half the season, just 8 games. Had shoulder surgery, missed the second half of the season. Well, Arnold was released by Detroit, and it's amid a very serious legal investigation. He is facing 8 felony charges in Florida. Some really serious accusations, like kidnapping, armed robbery, and conspiracy. At its max, he could get a life sentence. And you could look at that and go, well, why the hell are you working this guy out? I get that. But he's also had workouts with the Seahawks, the Giants, the Saints, the Texans, Jets, Colts have also met with or inquired about Arnold since he cleared waivers in July. The point is, there's no shortage of interest in Terron Arnold because you're talking about a first-round talent at a premium position who is on the open market. But what's the trade-off, right? So that's the tricky part. So this was the first on-the-record comment that Kellen Moore's made so far.
Collecting as much information as we can, having as many conversations with people who've spent a lot of time with him over the years. And so obviously there's an outside of football part of this that has to be added to this. But I felt like we had a good visit with him, good experience. Obviously we have some ties with Kool-Aid being here and their experience together. And so, we'll just see where it goes.
Okay. So it's what he mentioned there. It's worth noting. Kool-Aid and Terron Arnold were the starting cornerbacks at Alabama 3 years ago, before they went into the NFL draft. So I have nothing to offer you on the legal side of this. Now, if he's convicted, that takes care of itself. If he's convicted, then there's no question here. We do live in a country where there is a presumption of innocence until guilt is proven. So I'm not going to convict Terron Arnold here on the radio. I have no idea. I know nothing more than any of you know, and that's whatever we have read about what the charges are and the allegations. If he is charged and goes to court and there's a legal process, due process, all that stuff, I'm willing to let that play out because I would want the same for me or anybody else that I know or love to have their day in court, okay? I don't know. And that's regardless of whether Terron Arnold picks the Saints or not, to that end. So let's just take that component, acknowledge it exists. That's a thing that has to be considered and dealt with, and put it on a shelf. And now let's just talk about the football part of this, okay? The football part of this would be kind of incredible if it worked out for the Saints to get Terron Arnold. Now, you can be really, 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 really optimistic about Kool-Aid McKinstry and about Quincy Riley. I am not. If we jump in the Wayback Machine, crank that thing up to 88, and kick it back to the draft. And it's interesting because I had someone ask yesterday on the show text line, hey, if you can go back to the draft, would you rather Mansour Delane or Jordan Tyson? And my answer was, well, Delane wasn't available because the Chiefs took Delane before the Saints picked Tyson. But if he were, I would prefer Delane. Now, I ain't no hypocrite because I was pumped that the Saints took Tyson. And I was good with the Saints taking any of the elite wide receivers 9th overall for the reasons I've said plenty here. I don't think Chris Olave is a true game-breaking number one, and I think they got one in Jordan Tyson. I think Olave is an awesome – in 4 years, he's had 3 1,000-yard seasons, okay? Chris Olave is an awesome NFL receiver. So don't twist my words about Olave. It's just simply teams don't structure their game plan to stop that guy. Teams may have to structure their game plan to stop Jordan Tyson, like they do Puka, JSN, Jamar, Jets, all them, right? That's what I think you might have gotten with Jordan Tyson. So I'm pumped about that. No misunderstanding. I also think it's possible that you could have gotten a super elite receiver early in round 2. You might have gotten one in round 6 in Barryon Brown. Could have. I watched the Saints for a decade and a half with Peyton and Breeze have a 7th-round tight end from Hofstra become the greatest receiver in the history of the organization. Lance Moore, a UDFA from Toledo, become a really productive receiver in New Orleans. My point is, right people, right system, right talent evaluation, you can find really productive pass catchers. It's really hard to find a true lockdown, elite, shut down one side of the field corner outside of round 1. Like, you're not going to find Derek Stingley lingering in round 3. That's just not a thing that happens. You want Stingley, you want Jalen Ramsey, you want that dude, like, you got to go get him early. And Terron Arnold was a first-round pick, and he's one of those dudes. And so if you have the opportunity to get Terron Arnold, who could very well be that true lockdown number 1 corner, I love that because it allows Kool-Aid to be the 2 and Quincy Riley to be your nickel, which I think they're better in those roles. Like, I do not think we have seen evidence of Kool-Aid McKinstry being a true lockdown number 1 cornerback in the NFL. Could he develop into that? Sure. And sweet Lord baby Jesus, I hope he does. Nothing would make me happier. But if we look back to a time for the Saints when, if you look at Marshawn Lattimore, that was one of those things where whenever, no matter who you were playing, whoever their best guy was, 23 had him. That was it. 23, you got him. Never a question. Start there. Like, I don't believe that's Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid had a good year last year. His PFF grade was a 69.5. His coverage grade was a 71.4. That's pretty good. But when you go game by game, you see discrepancies, right? Whenever New Orleans in 2025 played Seattle, you went on the road, you played Seattle in week 3. Seattle's pretty good. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. They have Jackson Smith and Jigba. Kool-Aid's grade was a 27. His coverage grade was a 27.6. That's awful. You play the Giants, who stink, and Kool-Aid graded at an 82. And his coverage grade was an 84. That's good. And they didn't have Malik Neighbors. That's good. That's really good. We keep going. Played the Rams. Rams are pretty good. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, good offense. Kool-Aid graded out at a 42 with a coverage grade of a 40. Played the Jets. They stink. Kool-Aid graded out at a 76.9 with a pass coverage grade of 84.6. You get my point? Against really bad teams, he was good. Against really good teams, He was not. So I think Kool-Aid is a really good number 2. But he's not the guy that you're going to say, go guard Puka, go guard JSN, go guard Chase, go guard Jefferson, and he's going to shut down a side of the field. Terron Arnold could be that guy. And then if he is, that allows you to kick Kool-Aid back to be your number 2 and Quincy Riley to the slot as a nickel. And I think you're much better in that role. I like Kool-Aid. I like him. He's a good player. He's just a much better number 2 than he's a number 1. I don't like him so much as that, even though he wears jersey number 1. Maybe they should put him in number 2. Aaron Brooks. Because I think he's a better number 2 than a number 1. Similar conversation to Olave. Olave's a good player. He's just not Jamar Chase. So I think some of that is knowing your role. So if the Saints, and the fact that the Saints didn't address corner until the 7th round of the draft, and they didn't address it all in free agency, is concerning to me. Because I don't think you're good enough at that position with what you have. At least not against the better teams in the league. So if you have the opportunity, if again, the part that we put in a box on the shelf earlier about Arnold with his legal situation, which exists, but we're having a football conversation right now. We put that part on the shelf. It exists, it's there, but we're having a separate conversation just about football. You have an opportunity to get Terron Arnold for nothing. You don't have to give up an asset to get him. He was a first-round pick at corner, and it's a place where you don't have good depth and you really don't have a really dominant number 1. I think that would be awesome. So let's hope it works out. Now, he'd have to pick you over all the other suitors that he has, including the defending champions in Seattle. But maybe, just maybe, this is one of those things where you may get a steal. See if they can pull it through. And we'll certainly talk about it as we move along. All right, we're brought to you by Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com. Industrial generator power. That's our friends over at Arco. That's what they do. They sell, service, install, and rent industrial generators for your business, your commercial, industrial facility, government, municipalities. Let's say you're having a big outdoor event, like a concert in a field, like a festival, and you need standby generator power to power your outdoor concert series, your big fundraiser in a field, a festival. Well, you want to roll in those standby generators? Boom. On the trailers, that's Arco. ARCCO. Arco.com, arco.com, arco.com. Everything's turnkey. Get a quote today. When the power goes out and you need your business to stay online, you need Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com. All right, it's after further review. I'll ask Ross Jackson about Terron Arnold when he's with us next hour. If you want to join us, you can email us, tweet us, or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show, so please feel free to do that. Let me knock out a break. When we come back, something I intended to get to a day ago, we just kind of ran out of time. Lane Kiffin, on Monday, when he met with reporters, talked about the young group, really the quartet of young defensive linemen that may play an impactful role on this LSU team. I have some thoughts on that. We'll get to it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorney. Speaking of those young defensive linemen, of course, you're going to see some of those as part of the G team. You can always go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You want to learn more about the G team. You want to learn more about the many different philanthropic endeavors that Gordon has all throughout our community and all throughout the state of Louisiana. You can always learn more there. GordonGives.com. That's the charitable arm of Gordon McKernan, injury attorney. You see about all the philanthropic work Gordon does. GordonGives.com, GordonGives.com. Before you know it, we'll be coming up on the bicycle giveaway around the holidays. Hard to believe, y'all, but we're halfway through August. I mean, we're steamrolling toward fall and ultimately the holidays. Love telling you about Gordon every single day. Really excited also about Court to Table, one of Gordon's entities. Court to Table will be hosting the Lane Kiffin Show on Thursdays this fall during football season. So many different ways that Gordon and his team are involved in our community. So go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done. Want to give a huge shout out to all the customers, all the businesses that have trusted River Parish Contractors. I was chatting with my buddy Ronnie over at River Parish Contractors who told me quarter one in 2026 was the biggest quarter one in the history of the company. Not to be outdone, Q2 was the biggest Q2 in the history of River Parish Contractors, and we are steamrolling towards setting records here in Q3 as well. It's River Parish Contractors right there in Reserve. That's where they have the Fab Shop, which, by the way, is open 24/7, 365. Anybody, customers, you want to go check on your job or any job, you want to pop in and take a look around, it's open to anyone. River Parish Contractors. rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com. If you need your industrial construction job done right, the first time and safely, you want the best. You want River Parish Contractors. rpcontractors.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, Ross Jackson in 40 minutes from right now. One of the big storylines so far in fall camp for LSU is defensive line. Now, my opinion is the single biggest question on this team is defensive tackle. And look, there's a lot of questions, okay? Sam Levitt's health seems like that one's answered, but until we see it in the game and how he functions and all, that's part of it, of course. You have one returning receiver who had one catch, Phillip Wright. That's it. Everything else at receiver is new. Running back, Dylan Jones has very clearly is carrying the banner as RB1. Can he do it in the SEC? Remains to be seen. Lots of questions, right? You got two new edge rushers. Is PJ Woodland ready to be? Is DJ Pickett ready to be CB1 taking over from Mansour Delane? Oh, there's lots of questions. A new place kicker replacing your program's all-time leading scorer in Damian Ramos. New punter in Grant Chadwick, who looks awesome. Will it carry over into games? Can it move from the proverbial range to the course sort of thing? There's questions all over. For me, the single biggest question is defensive tackle. Because you have no skins on the wall. You got a lot of talent, and you have some experience. You have no skins on the wall. For context, you went out and added Malik Blockton from Auburn. In 2 seasons at Auburn, he has combined 34 career tackles. 18 a season ago. 18 tackles. You added Stephylan Green from Clemson. 3 years at Clemson, combined 34 tackles. He had 18 a season ago. Don McKinley, going into his junior year, 3 years at LSU, has 19 tackles. 7 as a freshman, 12 last year. That's it. You got veteran dudes who are in their second, third year in college, but dudes that haven't done anything. Even a guy like McKinley, who was a 5-star, and you could be really excited about the growth potential, the physical ability, none of them have done anything. And that question is only magnified by the fact that 2 true freshmen have stepped right in and are stealing first-team reps from these veteran guys. What would make me feel way better is if knowing Gerald's, who is really advanced and explosive and very exciting, and Richard Anderson, who's 330 pounds and the number 1 defensive tackle in the country, if those dudes showed up on campus and the veterans were throwing them out of the boat. Because that would tell me your veterans, hot damn, they're ready. They're ready to roll. You got 5-star defensive linemen and they're struggling to break through. That means your veterans are ready. The fact that you got these 2 true freshmen, kicking in the door, tells me your veterans aren't holding them off. There's multiple ways you can look at that. And you can be really excited about the young guys, but there's a flip side to that coin, which is your veterans aren't dominating enough to justify stealing those first-team reps because you got the young guys doing it. Now, Lane Kiffin was asked on Monday when he met with reporters if he's ever had a group of young defensive linemen, and the way it was asked was the 3, because they threw Lamar Brown in there as well, who, this is a great comparison, right? Lamar Brown's 5-star number 1 player in the country. He's not taking first-team reps. Now, he wasn't here in the spring, but you've got Prince Will, Uman Mielen, and Jordan Ross. Uman Mielen is a senior, who led Ole Miss in sacks and tackles for loss a year ago in the SEC. Jordan Ross, a former top 10 overall player in the country, who has been a rotational guy at Tennessee and is now ready to be a starter. So as great as Lamar Brown, we all expect him to be, as highly rated of a prospect as he is, he ain't stealing first-team reps from those veterans. They're throwing him out the boat. So he's getting second-team reps. You're not seeing that at tackle. Anyway, Lane was asked, have you ever had a class like this with this many defensive linemen ready to make an immediate impact?
Yeah, I don't think we have. There's a fourth, two in there that's doing a really good job, Henderson. But, yeah, I don't. And I talked to Ed about that. I was kind of thinking all the places over the years we've been, and even when we've been together or separate, and neither of us has had that. And really unique to have nowadays, because now they're more spread out usually, where before you could take more numbers, and so maybe then you hit on some and got that. But it's really exciting. All of them have a chance to play. Those three specifically are playing a lot, and it's really exciting in an age that, a lot of people play older portal players. It's kind of been lost a little bit of significant freshmen playing because there's challenges with playing them too. They make more mistakes. So, and with the challenging schedule and the way that it's set up now and more competitive than ever, it's even harder to have some of those games early. So it's really an awesome situation to be in.
So I want to be very clear. I'm not afraid of asking a true freshman to make an impact. DJ Pickett made a big impact last year on LSU. Malachi Toney made a huge impact on Miami, who played for the national championship. So I'm not saying it's bad that you got a freshman making an impact. What I am saying is I'm a little skeptical about your depth at that position. Now, I'll give you a comparison. 2014 is always the year that I defer to in this, or default to. So 2014, LSU was in a situation where the year prior, some really talented guys left school early. Freak Johnson left after his third year on campus. Wish he had stayed for a fourth year. He didn't. He left. He left after his junior year, went undrafted, how all that went. And what that left you with was a really young defensive line group. And there was no portal at the time. So Christian Lockature, as a sophomore, became your most experienced defensive lineman. And Devon Gottschall, as a true freshman, coming off a torn ACL, by the way, ended up starting. Gottschall, as a true freshman, had 42 tackles. Lockature had 40. And you had Quentin Thomas, Macadius Bain, Greg Gilmore. You were just really young. Now, you finished that season 152nd in rushing defense. So it was top 50 in the country. But LSU's used to being top 10 in the country in rush defense in that era with Chavis and building great defensive linemen. And it showed against better veteran teams. When you played that in 2014, that really veteran Mississippi State team with Dak Prescott, they ran roughshod all over you. They ran right through your defense. When you went on the road to Auburn, that was the Brandon Harris game. They ran right through you. That was the problem that you had with that really young defense. So, and you got better for it, and you had young players on that defense like Kendall Beckwith and Duke Riley and Deion Jones, and later in their career, they were awesome players. Gottschall was an awesome player later in his career too. But that was a year where you had some growing pains. So I am I'm hopeful for the defensive line. I don't know if I'm optimistic for the tackles. But my real hope is that those guys become space eaters. Because the best spot on this defense, in my opinion, is linebacker. TJ Daugherty led the SEC in tackles a year ago. Whit Weeks was second in the SEC in tackles 2 years ago. Devon Keys was third in the SEC in tackles last year. Your first three are awesome. You talk about skins on the wall? They all got them. And you have great depth behind them. Tylen Singleton, Zach Weeks, Charles Ross, Keelan Moses. You got young dudes, hungry dudes behind them ready to roll. So I think linebacker is your best spot on defense. Most proven, best depth, all of it. Maybe what your tackles can do, even if they're not impact guys as far as making plays, maybe they can be space eaters, eat up blocks, and free up your awesome linebackers to go make plays. One guy who can certainly speak to that is LSU center Braylon Moore. He was asked when he met with reporters this week about those young defensive linemen.
Man, those guys are going to be crazy talented. their future is so bright. I've played in the ACC, played against, good Clemson teams, played in the SEC. Those freshmen are developed more than some of the players I played in their fourth year. Deuce is extremely talented pass rusher. His bag is endless. And then when it comes to Rich, he is a powerful dude, can eat up double teams, could, just cause chaos in the backfield. And then Lamar's kind of a switch up. He's an edge rusher, but, he could also move into 3-tech. He has that power. So, he could work finesse and he could just go right through you. So, that group is set for the next couple of years for sure.
I love to hear that from a veteran player. And to say that group is set for the next couple of years, I believe him. The question is that group set for this year? That's something we'll only see when they tee it up and kick it off. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. Hey, remember, it's eye care, eyewear, and eye surgery. It's back to school time. Parents, make sure you take your kiddos to the doctor to get their annual eye exam. The start of school is a great reminder to take them to go get that eye exam at any of the Williamson Eye Center locations. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com to schedule. They got locations all over Greater Baton Rouge. Got a couple of them in Baton Rouge proper. They got Zachary, they got Denham, and they got Ascension, and they got Lutcher down at the river parishes. WilliamsonEye.com. Go schedule your eye appointment today at WilliamsonEye.com. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad y'all are rolling along with us halfway home here on a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Former New Orleans Saint quarterback Derek Carr has a new job. We'll talk about that. Ross Jackson's here in 30 minutes from right now. We opened the show today talking about the with a little bit of a practice report from Tuesday evening's practice out at LSU. Today, Wednesday, LSU has a walkthrough, so no media availability. But after practice, I did have a few conversations with sources within the program, and I want to sort of empty my notebook, tell you a few things that I've heard. I'll get to that in about 45 minutes from right now. But in particular, two positions where some younger guys seem to be very clearly emerging. I think you're going to be really encouraged by that. We'll get to that coming up in hour 3 as well. Stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
We are brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com for River City's 1 Hour Air. I love reading 5-star Google reviews for you because it's a great third-party validation that tells you how other people have had the same experience I have. Ronald DeLon left this one. Justin, the technician, was very thorough and professional, taking care of my AC unit inside and out. We can go on for days. Kelvin Tree said I had a great experience with Britton Holden from River City's 1 Hour Air. After a long, hot night in South Louisiana without AC, he arrived earlier than expected, brought a friendly, eager attitude. Britton assessed the issue, demonstrating impressive knowledge, explaining things clearly, also offered helpful maintenance tips for the future. Again, River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
The Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Rolling along here, Hump Day edition of AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Shout out to our friends at Goodwood. I talk all the time about peptide therapy. Highly recommend, if you want to learn more, go chat with Gabe over at Goodwood. Just have the conversation. I'll tell you one thing that I tell you all the time about is BPC 157. It's done wonders for me with my back pain. It's for muscle and tissue repair. And having just had an appendectomy, I can tell you since I've been home, I'm injecting my BPC near the site of my surgical scars because it's going to recruit healing agents to that area to help the scars heal faster. So it's worked immensely for me. I'm not telling you what to do. What I am just suggesting is gather information. At Goodwood, they have the lowest prices, never any contracts, and peptide therapy is available for all different types of possibilities. Cognitive function, help you sleep, maybe if you need to reduce anxiety, things like recovery. There's growth hormone peptides, which You're not injecting growth hormones into your body. You're injecting amino acids, strands of amino acids that stimulate your body's natural growth hormone production, which can help you burn fat, build muscle, sleep better at night, have better cognitive function. There's so many ways you can live a fuller, happier, healthier, more productive life. You just got to take that first step. Lowest prices, never any contracts, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Derek Carr has a new job. Not sure if you saw this, but UCLA coach Bob Chesney has hired the former New Orleans Saints quarterback as a special advisor to the head coach. So Derek Carr spent 11 seasons in the NFL. He will assist Bob Chesney and the Bruins offensive staff with game planning and strategy while also working with UCLA's quarterbacks in a volunteer role. Well, that's interesting. Carr played at Fresno State. The connection here. So Carr, when he was at Fresno, overlapped with Derek E-Ray. I think I'm saying that right. It's Y-R-A-Y, Derek E-Ray, or maybe just Ray, who is now the UCLA general manager. So the two who played together at Fresno State, now they're reconnected, and E-Ray brought Derek Carr on his staff there to help Bob Chesney, who, remember, Chesney's in his first season at UCLA. He was the coach at James Madison, JMU. They went to the playoffs this past year. In 2 seasons at James Madison, Chesney was 21-6, of course, where he took over for Kurt Signetti, who left for Indiana. We know how that's gone. And won a Sun Belt title, played in the college football playoff last season. So Bob Chesney had a great 2-year run at James Madison. Walked into a good situation, continued to elevate JMU, and now has got his power forward job at UCLA in the Big Ten out in Westwood. As a matter of fact, we had a chance to talk to Bob Chesney, if you remember, at the Bear Bryant Awards in Houston when we did our show there in January. And he was awesome, man. He was personable, and we talked a lot about his past. Remember, he's the guy who was on, like, the cowboy reality show when he was in college. If you missed that conversation, go check it. You can find it on demand, our interview with Bob Chesney on YouTube or podcast. He was great. I really enjoyed talking to him. Wish him well at UCLA. It's a bit of an uphill climb there at UCLA just because of resources. I mean, UCLA is a public university in the University of California system, and it is a wealthy school. I mean, if you've never been to UCLA, like the university is directly across the street to the gates of Bel Air, like the French Prince of Bel Air, the Bel Air neighborhood. I mean, it is directly across the street from the campus at UCLA, and it is gorgeous, and it is in the heart of LA, and it is wealthy and all that stuff. They just don't really care very much about being great at football, which they don't have to care about being great at football, so they haven't necessarily had that investment, and they have a major problem with playing up at the Rose Bowl, which we all think of as this historic stadium, which it is, but when you're playing in Pasadena, depending on traffic, I mean, you could be talking about an hour-and-a-half drive from the UCLA campus in Westwood to Pasadena. You know, when LSU played there a few years ago, a lot of LSU fans who made that trip might remember UCLA wasn't even in school yet at the time, so the students weren't even back on campus. It was a really weird, wonky type thing. So they got a lot of issues at UCLA to get good at football. They've had moments in their history when they've been good. I mean, Troy Aikman was there. They were really good with Cade McNown back in the day, 98, I believe. Yeah, because it was 90. It was that draft of 99 when it was, you know, Achilles Smith and Donovan McNabb and Cade McNown that were all in that draft class. But in any event, maybe Derek Carr will be the thing that maybe it'll be Derek Carr, the emperor of empty yards, that elevates the UCLA Bruins. As a matter of fact, though, we did get a few of the questions from Derek Carr's interview process with Bob Chesney there at UCLA. Yep, please hit the theme music that I should pull up. Okay. So Derek Carr was asked from Bob Chesney about why he might be a good fit on staff.
Nothing's ever promised in this game. And y'all know me, man, I'm positive about everything.
How about that? Nothing surprises him.
I'm never surprised by anything. You know, my brother always told me if they got rid of Peyton Manning, they can get rid of you.
And he's going to work for free. Yeah.
I wouldn't take a pay cut. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't do that, especially with what I put on tape. You know, there's some things that you put out there that you earn.
Strikes and gutters. All right, it's after further review. Good luck to Derek Carr there as the new special assistant to the head coach at UCLA. We're brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing, parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. Parrish Construction and Roofing, parrishbuilt.com. Our buddy Derek Carr. Woo! Our partner, Drew Brees, notably better than Derek Carr, went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this past weekend. Congrats on his enshrinement. And in the meantime, we get to announce on Friday when Terrio's here our winner of our fortified roof giveaway. So we'll announce the Baton Rouge winner on Friday, and then next week, I believe, we'll announce our New Orleans winner. Very excited about that. We love being able to do stuff. We've given away $50,000 in cash in our cash giveaways. Now we're giving away 2 roofs. We love blessing people in our communities. Of course, with Drew Brees, we're partnered with him and the Brees Dream Foundation as well. So we're going to do so much more working with Drew's charity. Parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. Parrish Construction and Roofing, parrishbuilt.com. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here on a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. It is after further review. We can wrap up the hour with Tigers and the pros coming up here in just a smidge. Ross Jackson is going to be with us in 18 minutes. We'll get a Saints camp report. If you ever want Ross's camp reports in written form, you can get them for free over at louisianasports.net. They are thorough, no paywall, all that sort of stuff. Ross tracks every rep of the team periods. It's awesome. I mean, if you're a junkie and a camp junkie, you're going to love Ross's reports. So go check them out for free over at louisianasports.net. Remember, you can always text the show in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I got a text from Corey who said, Matt, ever since they started practicing in spring and now in fall camp, I feel like I've seen nothing but positive notes and videos of Philip Wright making plays at receiver. I know it's impossible to know who's going to be part of the rotation once we kick off against Clemson. Do you think Wright could be a dark horse that gets some playing time? I think the way you said it is correct, that he's a dark horse to get some playing time. But I think in all the conversations that I've had with people around the program, it is very clear who has emerged at the receiver positions. And it is Jace Brown, it is Jackson Harris, and it is Trey Wilson. And then, of course, Trey Green, who's listed as a tight end, but he ain't a tight end. They're not using him as a tight end. They're using him as a receiver, and they're moving him all over the formation. I've said, I think, you want one – I don't even know if this is a bold prediction. I think Trey will lead the team in targets, catches, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. I think he leads LSU and all that. But Jace Brown, Jackson Harris, Trey Wilson, I think those are the 3 to bank on as far as your receivers. Now, could Philip Wright factor in this year? Maybe. You could always have injuries. You never know. And then I don't want to be dismissive of Winnie Watkins, because I think Winnie Watkins is absolutely going to play a role in this team, in large part because of his familiarity with this offense. There is just a seamlessness with him in the offense. I just think the other guys probably have different skill sets, especially as veteran players. All 3 of the guys I just mentioned are seniors. They all have just a different skill set and a different experience levels. Watkins is in his 2nd year in college football. So if you made me guess, I would think Philip Wright probably is in line to have a really big impact in 2027. More of a minimal impact, I would think, here in 2026. But the other thing to keep in mind is all those guys I just mentioned, they could all come back in 2027 with the new 5-for-5 rule. All of your seniors could return for another year in 2027. So who knows what that's going to mean for the roster, as Lane Kiffin said earlier this week when he talked about it. We are going to talk about that a little bit as well, because Greg Sankey talked about the 5-for-5 rule and the guys coming, the class of 2022 coming back into college football this year and all that stuff. We'll get to that in about 45 minutes from right now. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Come back, wrap up hour number 2 next.
AFR.
We're brought about Watermark and Renaissance. Watermark Baton Rouge, Renaissance Baton Rouge. The Watermark downtown on 3rd Street, Renaissance Southtown on Bluebonnet. Watermark is Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. Watermark Baton Rouge. Hey, look, this Saturday is the Capitol Gala's Best Dressed. One of my favorite nights in Baton Rouge annually. It's an awesome event, raising money for Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Institute. Everyone gets dolled up, dressed to the nines. There's great live music, great food, and cocktails and energy and spirit. And it's just awesome, awesome night. And if you're going to spend part of your evening Saturday at the Capital Gala Best Dress, why not incorporate Watermark Baton Rouge? Get down there early, maybe have a cocktail at the bar at Watermark Baton Rouge, and you can walk to the River Center. It's walkable. Or maybe you don't want to drive. Great, don't. Like, stay at Watermark Baton Rouge that night. So after the Capital Gala's Best Dress, just go back to your hotel room. Have brunch at the Gregory. It's Watermark Baton Rouge. Proform Steel. ProformLA.com. ProformLA.com. You need a metal building. You want the best. You want Proform Steel. A lot of reasons to call Proform Steel. Maybe first and foremost, if you love America, every single material made in the USA. Every single material they use at Proform Steel, manufactured right here in the good old US of A. ProformLA.com, ProformLA.com. Also, really the big thing is lead times. For commercial, they carry 10-week lead times when most are 16 to 20 weeks. And the reason they're a month shorter on lead times is because they do everything in-house. They produce everything in their facility. Purling, sheet metal, beam fab, everything in-house right there in Ascension Parish. ProformLA.com, ProformLA.com. And buy a metal building from Proform Steel. They will deliver it for free, no exceptions. ProformLA.com, ProformLA.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
I'm going to go quote tweet the college transfer portal account, and I hope you will all join me in chastising them, because apparently they stole a video from Trip Bueller. He's at Trip Bueller. Forgive me, I don't know that I know Trip. He is LSU Tigers SI and LSU Reveille, so I would assume he's an LSU student. But he took a video of Jaden Breaker out at practice, and the college transfer portal account, which has 25,000 followers on it, stole his video, posted it as clickbait, and Tripp went and quote tweeted him. So I'm going to go quote tweet the college transfer portal. I hate this because I'm going to end up giving them what they want, which is attention. But hopefully what it will actually do is give the credit where it belongs to Tripp, who took the video, put it on social media. I just hate thieves. If you use someone's content, at least do so with either permission or with attribution, and the college transfer portal account here did neither of those, and that's disgusting and it sucks. So hat tip to Trip Bueller, who's about to get a follow from me, and I'm going to see if I can meet him I've never met him, but I'm going to see if I can go meet him at practice when we're out there the next time, and tell him good job on getting the video, and awful job by the college transfer portal account, which this only has 25,000 followers on it, which I would assume is made to look like an ESPN college football account, but probably isn't. It's probably a bunch of dopes running this and just stealing other people's content. But an absolute atrocity that they stole this guy's video. So a pox on you, college football portal account. Do I follow them? I don't follow them, and I won't, but I am going to chastise them. So please go do the same there on Twitter. All right, it's after further review. Muso's out, so for the first time, Luke Foster, Tigers in the pros. Here we go.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Your mic's not on. There we go. And you need to keep the music bed going. All right, Luke, come on, babe. I mean, you tripped right out of the block. Right out of the starting block. Let's get up and let's keep going. Here we go.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, I hear you. That's a win. Here we go. You got it.
Alex Bregman and the Cubs faced off against Washington last night. Bregman went 2 for 4.
Okay.
3 runs scored, 2 hits, and 1 home run. Dylan Cruz.
Okay.
Faced off against Chicago last night. He went 1 for 4, 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 home run. And Paul Skeens faced off against Miami last night. A little concerning. He went 5 innings. After 65 pitches, had a little pain. They took him out.
Yanked him out of there after 65 pitches.
We got good news out of New York. Giants list Odell Beckham Jr. as third-string wide receiver on depth chart. More good news out of Carolina.
How you feeling, man? How you think this is going?
This is how I've done it. Unless I've been doing it wrong since I started.
Just keep on rolling, bro. You're on it.
All right. That's it. Tigers and the Birds.
I think you nailed it. I think you did a great job.
I appreciate
How
it.
you feel today?
Good. A little stressed.
No, it's sitting in here on this show, probably not an easy thing to do.
Well, this is my first time with you. I wish
Yeah.
Musso got a little angry at me, but
What do you mean?
because that way, I mean, like, really
I'm not
good-
angry at you.
not angry, but
I'm not
like,
angry at you.
yeah,
Just there's urgency when you run a live board, brother. There ain't no. I mean, there's a live board. You know what I mean? Got to go.
Gotta
go. Anyway, it's one of those things where what is it like? What is it like? Pressure makes a diamond. Is that the saying?
I believe so.
Pressure makes the diamond.
Diamond makes
diamond.
pressure makes diamonds.
Pressure makes diamonds. That's it. That pressure. You got to put yourself through hard things to be better at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we call the attorney general. Hey, bro, we better be on and popping. You know what I mean? Get their attorney general online. Let's go. It'll make you better. We've all been there. You're doing a great job. Proud of you. I'm serious. It's not an easy thing to do to run a live show. You're doing a good job.
Appreciate it.
We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com. For Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, 9 locations. Love telling you about Lee Michaels. I love the Goldilocks analogy as well. The big box stores tend to be cookie cutter. The boutiques are, sometimes you don't have a great selection and you tend to overpay. Lee Michaels is perfect. 9 locations. They have plenty of selection, and because they buy in bulk, they're going to give you a great price as well, but you still are small enough to give you personalized service. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, it's after further review. Y'all glad you're hanging out with us here. Hour number 3 kicks off right after SportsCenter. Ross Jackson will be along. Get us caught up on national headlines. Talk about Saints camp at AFR.
AFR.
Hey, if you're thinking of buying a vehicle, make sure you put Volkswagen on your list. SouthPointVW.com is the website. I love telling you about South Point Volkswagen because my wife and I, Erica and I, have been customers at South Point quite literally for as long as we've been together. When we started dating, Erica drove, I'll tell you, she drove one of his little, like, sporty Lexus sedans. And Lexus is a great vehicle, nothing against the Lexus. But she was overpaying for it, and we needed to get some stuff right financially. And so we got her into, at the time, a Passat. And since then, that started our family's sort of obsession with Volkswagens. And that's all we drive since we've been together. Now she drives a Volkswagen Atlas. I had an Atlas, but now I'm on my second Crossport. The Crossport is basically the Atlas. It just takes out the third row. Stylish, sporty, safe, affordable. Test drive a Volkswagen today. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, South Point Volkswagen.